Interview with Mrs. Harriet Boyd, May 3rd, 1997.
No, it's not. Because I was going. My husband at the time was on his way overseas, and of course, I mean, my whole thing was thinking that I could get to San Francisco before he left, and that was my reason for leaving Arkansas. No, came by train. Stopped here to see a friend. Maybe you know the Graham, I don't know how to pronounce that name. He has a barber shop right there on Tillamook, and he's had it there for years. His son used to be was one of the runners for U.S. University of Illinois.
Tillamook and
Herman.
what?
That's, what was that? Tillamook and, I guess I read that. You know where the, it's just off Williams. What's that next street?
To
By the school?
by the brick school that was with Immaculate Heart. Oh, I know where you mean. It's in the Boise Elliott now.
Right, that's what it is.
It's Williams, Vancouver.
That's Vancouver.
Flint.
That's Vancouver then.
Until
Because that's where his barber shop is. Anyway, they lived here. Of course, we had been friends because her father was a minister in Marlton, and we were friends. I mean, they married like when she was 15, 16. But anyway, they moved here because of Kindle shipping. And I stopped to see them, and when I stopped over with them before going on, and then I found out that my husband the ship had already left. So therefore, and I fell in love with Orion after being here for a week for the mist. They call it the Orion Mist. And I fell in love with him. People thought I was crazy. I used to walk around like this. Anyway, that was one of my reasons for doing it. I stayed with them for a while, and then went to work at the shipyard. You won't believe this. So everybody was going, so I decided I had to go too. And I went, and when I looked at the kind of labor that you had to do, I thought, no, this is not what I want to do. It's not what I used to do, and I couldn't quite get my hands into it. And I guess when I first got a check, I realized, and not only that, I didn't like the way when you got on the bus that she was so proud. It was like being, and I'm coming from a little country town. And Marlton is a little country town.
What is it called?
Marlton, Morilton. And coming from that place, and and being thrown into this is like taking you out of vacation. So but anyhow, what happened is that I stayed here with him, and I said to her, I have to find another kind of job. I cannot do this shit right now.
I bet that was rough.
I couldn't understand scaling. And I wanted to take up sheet metal, and I thought, no, that. And I guess I just pondered it in my mind, but it didn't take me very long to decide that I wasn't going to do it. And then, of course, I met the Fishers, Mercedes Fisher, whose family was here. And she was working for the Zidels at the time. And she still worked for them until she passed away. But, and then by starting coming to her, then through them, they introduced me to Harry Zell's.
The jewelers.
And I worked for them when they used to have a little store right down the corner of Morrison and Broadway.
What year was this?
Oh,
Still in the 40s, or
it had to be. It had to be in the 40s. For the one simple reason, this was 41.
So when did you come to Portland?
Yeah, well, this is the same time as 40. That must have been 42, 40, somewhere in the neighborhood of that. But then, and I decided to go. And then, of course, they told me I could live in. And I thought that was the most fabulous thing. So I could have a room by myself.
As a cook.
Mm-hmm. No, well, as a housekeeper, cook, or whatever, maid service.
Everything.
Mm-hmm. And that's just really what it was. And after staying there, then I started writing my husband. I finally got letters from him. And told him where I was and that I was going to stay here until he came. So, and I worked for them until he came. But he said, no way will I move up there in a place where anybody would know. Well, of course, you know what happened, and we moved to Davenport. So that's, and if I keep tilting my head, I have there's something going on with my ear. I don't know what it is. It's bugging me. But anyway, that was just, Davenport was something else to me. But still in the meantime, I had already joined the church. And that was Vancouver Baptist. And this friend of mine that I got her a job, she came out of Arkansas also, Jessie Hill. Her daughter was the first minority student they had at the University of Oregon, Pearl Hill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, but she was, when I asked her to come out, and she worked for the other brother of the Zells, like Harry and Julius. And that just suited me just fine to have somebody, a friend out here that, but because the Brames were younger, they were so much younger than I was. But not that I wanted to go any place, because I didn't. Well, I should say that I should back up some, because in the meantime, before she came, we met a boxer by the name of. Just went right out of the window. And Marzelle, who was a girl that also knew the Brames, that came with us, and she was the one that introduced us to this boxer. I'm trying to think of his name. His name was John. But I never forget that there was no place for you to eat or anything. And his manager was the one who used to take us into Tuck Lungs.
Oh, Tuck Lungs downtown in Chinatown.
Well, we had to go around to the back door and come in, and then you get us into a booth and sit there, and that's really...
Even in the 50s, that was like that.
Woo-hoo.
Honor Rutherford always says that if you were African American as a young person, when you went out to dinner, you went to a Chinese restaurant because that's the only place that you can go. But I guess I'm forgetting that whole resurgence of racism happened as the war was ending with the...
I mean, you had signs in windows. You had to read it.
So even in a Chinese restaurant, you had to go to the back door?
Tuck Lungs is, well, it's not there anymore, but it was down there on... on 4th and Davis.
Right.
And you still had to go to the back door?
And it seemed to me that we did. I mean, I'm trying to figure out whether we did or not. I think by going in with him, no, we didn't. I'm sorry. Because by going in with the manager. Because he just always said, there was me and nobody thought.
Who's going to bother with a boxer, right?
No. I mean, but in the meantime, in here someone else is taking me in.
So you did the white doctor?
Boxer.
He was a boxer.
Boxer.
Fighter. They call them fighters. They didn't call them boxers.
And I have some information on athletes of that era, and somewhere back in here are a few names, but it's just not coming together like this minute either.
Oh, I mean, and I was going to say that after I did my graduating, and I still was at the Zells. We stayed there. Until my husband came home. And after he came home, we moved over to Manuel Hospital, right on the corner of Stanton and Vancouver. That's where I used to live.
And your house is gone, right?
And did you, even though you lived in your own home, did you still provide services to the jail?
No. After moving off, I used to still go up there, but then I used to always take after Rosalind was born. This is something else again. And see, Rosalind was after the Vancouver flood. Rosalind was before the Vancouver flood. Because that's the only child I had was Rosalind. And I'm trying to think. Well, that family had tried to get us to move in when they heard about the water. But my husband was working at, his name was Robert Beeson. He was working at Ross Island Sand and Gravel, and he said, "No, Harry, I don't want to go."
Can't blame them.
I don't know who that is. I don't know. But
Where did the Zells live?
they lived on in Council Crest. Council Crest, Westover. And that was a good time. I used to walk down. In fact, I had a car up here. I used to walk down. And Council, you know what Council Crest is?
So what did you do after the flood? Where did you guys go?
We stayed with the Zells.
Oh, you did? Okay.
We stayed with the Zells, and I'm trying to think how long we stayed with the Zells. And that's when we moved into the house on Stanton.
So were you in the flood? So the flood happens, everybody has to leave, everything's gone.
Everything is just a total. That is, just to even think back over what happened there. It was like we had gone to service that morning and came home. And this friend of mine, Jessie, came home with me. She and her fiance came home with us and had dinner. But see, my husband was still at work. And after we had dinner, Benson Hill was her fiance, and he decided to go down to Swift Company so he could see the water. I want you to know that's what we did after we had dinner. We went down to see the water. Well, before we got down there, the police were stopping everybody.
Saying you got to get out.
And we ended up on Denver, just at the entrance of going into Vanport. And I will never forget, we came back up there, and I'm standing there looking at it saying, "The Lord give us more, take the glory." But in the meantime, I wanted to go down and see what I could see.
Oh, yeah.
See around my house. I left my daughter up there with the two of them, and I go down, and I lived on Cottonwood. No, Cottonwood, Cottonwood. And when I get down there, I leave the door and got in the house. This is a really strange story. Got in the house. My mother had sent some of my wedding things to me, and guess what I did? I decided to go into the bathroom, pick up 3 washcloths, 2 brushes.
Well, you're in a state of shock in a situation like
the
that.
next thing I did, I dumped my silver out on the bed, and I took out 6 forks. Salad forks. I use them for dessert forks. Yeah. It's just funny. And I put them in this little overnight bag. I still have it. This little overnight bag. What do they call it? The one with the mirror in the top.
Like that little cosmetic case.
Cosmetic
kind of
case.
Thing. Yeah.
Cosmetic case. I put this to all this. I put this stuff in that. By that time, the police was checking. Who's in here and who's in. And I said, my child. Well, they thought I was saying that my child was there. And one policeman took me by the hand and said, "You get out, we'll find the child." And there was no child in there. Then I got back, then he took me back up where they were. And by the time I got up there, it was just mind-boggling.
Not bad.
To see water just going everywhere in houses that look like matchboxes. And floating.
I've seen that footage.
And turning
of that,
around,
and
which
it's
is just, it is something else again. And when I see those kind of things, I can't help but cry because, I just realize what these people go through.
Oh, and this North Dakota, what really eerie.
But anyway, we go up there, and then of course we went over to the Julia cell because that's where Jessie was staying. And Mr. Sell said, I told you they had called that morning before we had gone to church, and they had been calling all along and saying, "Come and stay with us."
Get out till things settle down.
And my husband said no. So of course, I mean that's what we did. To the Harriet Boyd, we moved into there. I would never forget that. And my husband despised.
Oh, I can imagine.
Being in there, he was just really upset over the fact of us being there. And Rosalind asked this little person. Mr. Zell was just floored by Rosalind. She was, an unusual child, not because she was my child, but this, while I'm curious about everything, and of course he used to take her whenever he went up for breakfast, when he came up for breakfast, Rosalind had to always be up and come up with him, and she stood right beside him, and of course when we get a chair for her to sit in, it was always, he had to put something else in the chair so she could sit there, and if they had dinner, Rosalind was there. I mean, if I didn't bring her up, he'd always say, "Well, where is she?" And I'd say, "Well, she's downstairs. She's either asleep or else, she's playing." And he said, "Well, you had to bring Rosalind up. And him at the head of the table, she has to be right here." And I will never forget how he liked his plates hot. We served food. Of course, I'm a nut over that now, not that I had been trained that way. And his way of testing the plates to see if they were hot, if he would edge of his finger, then he knew his food was hot. This is a strange time to me when I look back over and read over, and Miss Rosalind grew up, and I'm thinking in terms of this, that she had been given so many things, and of course, naturally being the first little girl, we didn't have anything. See, the Red Cross had given us whatever, just necessities, which is wonderful to have them be able to put in place.
So how long were you at the Zells? How long did it take for you to get from the Zells to the house on Stanton?
This is what I'm trying to figure out. It didn't take that long.
Like a month or 3 months or?
It must have been at least 2 months.
Yeah. How did you find a place to live in the middle of housing shortage and a lot of people having to move at one time?
This is what I'm just trying to think of, how that house came in. Now I've been trying to sort that out.
Mm-hmm. So you were very close to what had been the YWCA and then became the Black USO on Tillamook, which everybody tells us that was kind of like flood center where people communicated, left messages, arrived there.
And people that had been looking for people, like people that I had worked for in Arkansas. I only worked for one family. That was a Mobley family, and she had been trying to locate me if I was okay and everything else. Korchnars was another family that I had touched with, and the Reba Howard was another person that I had, because she had a boutique place. I used to go work for her in order that I might have a loose rest. I'll never forget that. But this is all back in Arkansas. And that's where they, in other words, they came to, they called find out if we were okay or what had happened.
That was the way your family was.
And my mother is, my father, they found out that I was okay. So we were okay. But I still have been trying to find out how we got that house.
Did you own it or did you?
And how long were you there until the Emmanuel Hospital expansion?
I was there, I don't know how I moved out of that house. Of course, there was a divorce. Yeah, there was a divorce, and I moved into an apartment. Into the apartment in Magnolia with my kitchen. That's how, in the divorce, that's how the house
got separated, kind of. What about when was that? How long do you think you were in the house on Stanton? We're trying to fixate on locations, where people were for...
Well, I'm trying to think. Rick was born in that, so this is the son, Rosalind's brother, that came. So, I had 2 children. And then I moved on to Magnolia, so it had to be, see, Reverend Williams lived next door to me there.
At Vancouver Avenue?
And they lived, right next to it. That's
the church
That's
parsonage
Vancouver.
is right next door. The little house is where the...
Well, no, that was their house.
Mhm.
That was their house. We lived on the corner, and they lived next door.
Mhm. Oh, that's right. He was across from the church.
He's on the side.
But his house is still there.
His house is still. No, you're thinking in terms of the annex
Yeah,
that they
I
had.
am. But you two were on the other side.
We were on the
of
other side. We
Vancouver.
were down by. On Stanton.
Mhm.
And see, he was in the house just next door to us. It's a huge house. I'm trying to think how long we were there. But see, they still were there. Even though we moved to. The kids and I moved to McMillan.
Oh, down in the Coliseum area.
Mm-hmm.
Were you there when all that displacement happened?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, boy.
And Bethel Church was down.
So you were there in 57 when they were, all of a sudden everybody's got to move. Yep. There's going to be this great, fabulous...
Well, I think I moved before. Where did I move to? Because the only other place I was on McMillan. Then I moved on Halsey, the apartment in back of where I was living, on McMillan. But that's still the same area.
Oh, well, it's all displaced all at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So were you there when the plans were, all that debate was happening about where the Coliseum was going to be, the War Sports Memorial?
Isn't that something?
Yeah, nobody
But you
thinks
see,
of it in that light now. We think of it as an entertainment complex.
No, but when you once realize, what it really was, and there were so many families in there that were displaced and how that
488 housing units.
Yeah, but you see that at that time I was not involved into what was going on really in the community outside of my church, and.
Was the church involved in that event?
No, not as they should have been. Because I think that's where the church fails, the community. I'm really saying that the church need to be more involved into what happens in the community rather than to let other people decide what's going to, because that's all a part of them.
Well, there were certainly ministers like Pastor Clove, and then later Reverend Jackson, who were advocating for open housing and opening the labor organizations and that sort of thing. But boy, you sure don't see much in terms of the record. Newspaper accounts of anybody questioning the justice of all of that dislocation and people just being pushed.
It was just that this is what we need. Okay, you happen to be in my road.
And it was that post-war, that spirit of patriotism, that there was going to be this war memorial there, and even the veterans groups were upset because they didn't think that they got enough.
See, Reverend Williams, our pastor moved, my pastor, bless him, and I love his memory. See, he was with Vancouver, 50 years? But he was a very quiet person. Yet he went for things. He would be aboard on things that, but he wasn't an aggressive. He was aggressive to a degree, yes. But I think he followed Reverend Jackson. That was a very close friend of his. But as far as people just really standing up, like Reverend Jackson was really one of the first. That he was a person. He and Ron Herndon, and I think they have been more vocal to see the things, and saying, no, we're not going to sit down. We're going to do it.
McKinley always says Reverend Jackson would march at the drop of a pin because he knew that's what it took to get attention.
Oh, yeah.
It had to be out there with people, on the street, confronting the media.
You couldn't sit and talk about it and say, no, is there a much more peaceful way? You haven't always felt that there was a more peaceful way to go about things. And which means that you have to have that cooperation of that kind of thing inserted, but you also realize the fact that there has to be somebody that know how to use that kind of piece along with what you do in order to get things done.
Do you agree with this? I usually go not only Baptist church, but sometimes community. Reverend O.D. Bloom, he was nationally known. He was the president of the National Baptist Conference. Do you think his focus was more national than local? He took care of his congregation, but he had more influence on the national level.
He had more influence on the national level, and I think this goes back. This come also because of the kind of personality he was. He was like a peacemaker. If OB came in, or if OB, after he sat and listened to all sides, after he sat and listened, and he said, no, we have to figure out how we can do this so that we can come together on it. But as far as, so nationally, you had a lot more people that would, well, his influence was. Because, and that was just a part of him.
So when the Coliseum plans are announced, everybody's got to leave. There's a big scramble for housing. What we do know is that people really, if you owned property, you really weren't fairly compensated for it. If you were in rental housing, you were just, there were supposedly, I mean, there's all this debate that you read about whether there was going to be funding available to help people on relocation. And I think people in rental housing were really just left to fend for themselves, and a number of people just left. So there's no place to go. And people
I rented from Brink. And is he still alive?
What's his first name?
She must have probably died.
That name.
It doesn't register.
That name doesn't ring a big bell. And what I've gotten from the city archives, remember the day we went out to the archives, is I made a copy of just kind of a record of who owned what property and whether they had, what the disposition of the sale was yet. Sale closed or sale pending or unwilling.
Yeah, Brink owned that apartment. In fact, he owned like 4 big apartments in that complex. Brink.
But that was his last name.
That was his last name.
I'll leave it at Mr. Brink and look through that list again. So where did you go from Halsey then?
After we left Halsey Street? Good question.
Here. You came here then. So this was 58?
So you what was the response of your neighbors when you moved in? Were there other black families around?
Oh, yes. See, that was, I mean, it used to be Dawson. It used to have the Dawson barber shop. Lived in that apartment. On Halsey, also Sadie Reader lived in the apartment on that hill, who was a nurse at Emmanuel. And the oldest family that had so many people. And
Mac Dawson, right? Is it Mac Dawson?
The
barber?
I can't remember his name. His wife is still living. I think it was Mac. What was that little place that was right in the center of there? Smitty's. A place that should never have been there. So many people were killed there.
Oh, one of the clubs. One of the wild places.
I'm trying to think of the family name because the brother was killed. That's the reason I'm trying. Heaven said dark-skinned lady that had a big family. Her daughters still living. Yarborough. You've heard that name before. Right.
We have heard that from a lot, but we have to do it.
Well, the daughter's living out on Ainsworth. Her name is Beemore. Mm-hmm. Oh, a beautiful family. Just a beautiful family. And they had one brother.
Did you know the Caldwell family that was on North Halsey in the 50s?
See, I knew them, but they were classed as the 600.
What does that mean?
The upper echelon of people.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the other family that I met, which I knew was the Dancers. Have you heard of them?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jesse, or what the heck,
Woody Dancer
Nathan and Woody.
the two brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is that Doris still living?
I don't know.
Josephine?
I don't know.
Because I met them through Mrs. Fisher, and she was the one. They were in the upper class of people, like the Rutherfords.
Mm-hmm.
They were the class of people. Of course, when all these other little peons came in, they didn't think. Well, first place we were in a place where we didn't know anything about a city.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was that these people are all from the South.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And the culture's different.
Yeah, that's true. Very true.
Mm-hmm.
And
the perception that
mm-hmm.
this is this genteel Portland
mm-hmm.
black society.
I'm up in the Northwest,
mm-hmm.
you know.
Oh, but this is if one thing I'm going to say about the Dancers. That was a family that just started just covered over me. I got a chance to be exposed to all the beautiful concerts and that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. From the Dancy family?
Mm-hmm. I was, he used to.
So what beautiful concerts?
I'm trying to think of the symphonies. I'm trying to think of the name. I can't think of the name of. And I know I don't have any papers on it. So I used to try to keep the newspaper articles.
So when you say the black youth, was the difference between the two groups was the fact that they were old Portlanders?
Well, not only old Portlanders, but they were people who had money.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. They were people who lived in a class, and they were and when I say that, I mean, well, of course, my looking at it now is a totally different. But at that particular time, I looked at it as people who had nice houses, they had nice cars, they attended nice events. I mean, and these were people that first they dressed nicely, and they had the kind of things I had been reading about, and I had never been involved in.
Things are no different now. You know, the haves and the have-nots.
Yeah. And it was just, I'll never forget. I mean, going, I've always liked to go. I've always enjoyed it. And this was funny, and I was carrying Rosalind, and it was a luncheon at Myron Frank, and I was doomed to go to this luncheon, and I was huge. When I say huge, I was huge. I went from 125 to 165 pounds. That's a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I got into the elevator. I used to go upstairs to the 11.
Mm-hmm.
And I went out like a light.
Oh, my goodness.
They called my doctor. See, Rosalind was delivered by Dr. Unthing.
Mm-hmm.
She probably has told you this.
No,
Anyway, and they called him, and he came down, and I said, Harriet, what are we going to do with you? He said, you're supposed to take care of yourself. And of course, I mean, everybody was hustling and bustling. And when they said, well, your doctor's on his way, and I mean, I was just at peace, and I knew I wasn't going to die. Mm-hmm. The whole trouble is that he said, there's just some things that you're not going to be able to do. And I got ready to go, and then Josephine came to take me another time. I got okay then. Another time, Josephine, we were going to this wedding down at Bethel, and I was still huge. And I had gone with this beautiful dress, I thought, which was nice. And I was going to go to this wedding, but I kept just feeling that I was not going to make this wedding, but I once I believed this child was going to come. But I was doomed. This child was not going to come before Thanksgiving. That was just my... have funny ideas in my head. But that was just part of it.
So when you moved over here,
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that we see in talking to people and in looking where people are moving from and moving to is that we know that in Northeast Portland, that because of the redlining and the housing discrimination, people, when the Coliseum was built, people moved north and lived between the river and Williams, and then that boundary was pushed very slowly east, inching closer to Martin Luther King, which was Union then, and people then moved up north, to from Fremont. The boundary began to push very gradually up to Skidmore, and one of the things that we've seen is people like Marie Smith, who lived out on 50th and Woodward, moved to Northeast Sumner. And you go out to 50th and Woodward today, and it's very lower middle class white.
This neighborhood has dropped so much in the last 5 years. 5 years it has suddenly taken up.
Why do you think that is?
Because you have different kind of people moving in. When we came in, the same people had been in this house over here for 17 years. And the woman that owned this house right here, her husband died, and she wouldn't say, that's the house we lived in first.
Also, you were over here and then you moved here. Oh, what do you know?
Because they wouldn't sell the house. She wouldn't sell the house over there. I liked it very much because it had a fireplace. Anyway. But we bought this house from Plummer, the real estate person. And the only reason why we got a chance to buy this house is because when we had looked at houses and everywhere, the houses that we really wanted, I said no. We couldn't buy them. And this is one of the houses, this one, and we got into this house by a lease option. That's how we got into this house. The other house that we wanted was down on Division, which is a beautiful house. They've changed it now. I'm trying to tell you where it is. Covered Catholic School. Down in that block. It's between 12th and 20th. Yeah, I can't believe
Oh, down there by St. Philip Neri.
And when we looked at that house, and it's just real, I was just real possessive. I said, what do you usually get? An obsession. And they said the only way we could go into that, we had to have, $3,000 cash to do it, which we didn't have.
No. Yeah.
So we came into this house, a lease option, and we came into this house for $250.
Back in the good old days, we could afford to live somewhere. And what was the race makeup of the neighborhood?
My children were the only children that went to route school. And they were the first ones that were, no, the young kids were the first one, I believe, that was in Cleveland.
You mean Phil and Elise Reynolds?
I think their daughter was the first. Now, she may not have been. It may have been the Perry girl. I wonder where she is now. Denise. No, she was on the list. She's such a beautiful. Okay.
Because one of the things that we've seen is people were slowly leaving African American, families and couples and sometimes widows were slowly leaving Southeast and moving into Northeast Portland. And Daryl Milner believes that this is because with the increase, the new resurgence in racism, people wanted to be where they felt safe. And then there's a couple of occasional features that show up in the Oregonian from the 50s and the early 60s, and these little features are called, black families in white neighborhoods.
Well, see, now
and there'll be an occasional, a person who's, Mrs. Mary Duncan is on Southeast 39th, and she moved there after her husband passed, and it's one of these. Of course she likes her neighbors fine, and of course her neighbors like her, and everybody lived happily ever after kind of story.
I hear you. But what I was going to say to you is that the gentleman across the street, whose name is Myers, he was the first one that bought in this area. Well, his name is John Meyer. He used to work for, what's the big furniture store that was downtown?
Directors.
No. Even the man was drowned in a boating accident.
Oh, I know who you mean.
And he was, and they were just like, well, you would have thought that they lived over there instead of John. I mean, they were beautiful people. Just, Dave was his first name. Can't think of his, anyway, eventually, I mean, it's Ethan Allen.
Mm-hmm.
No,
so Mr. Meyer bought over here.
Yeah, he was a veteran.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So he bought over there, so he was there when we came here. As I say now, what has happened, see, this lady, her husband, and my children could not venture across the line. Her husband, bless his heart, he had emphysema so bad it wasn't even funny, but I mean, he used to chase my son. Anyway.
Somebody with emphysema can't chase too well.
Well,
They
no.
must have really been worked up.
No, the whole thing was, and my son had the boys, typical boy, run through between the houses and go like that. And he had a habit of going up into trees, and there was a tree that was on his land. And of course, my son and his friends that's where they wanted to hang out.
Mm-hmm.
And you see him in there. And the one time what he did, he put this line. Today I think it's called. What are the line? The fences that you don't see them, but yet you know that they're there. You know that they're there.
Those invisible fences, like.
But anyway, this was. I guess Rick had gone through the yard in the back because there's just no way of you keeping somebody out of that yard and then into this yard or hopping over this yard going back into the back. And he hid himself right up here, so London hadn't. Okay. And so when Rick told his dad about it, he went over and he said, now, if somebody did your child that way, what would you do? And he said, well, I'd keep him over on my side of the line. So he said, well, little boys have a tendency to just start running. And they have no idea where they're going to go. But anyhow, that was one of the things. But before he died, he was at least spoke to you.
Mm-hmm.
But then so he left his wife there, and her grandson took care of her. And the daughter, then after she passed away, they put the grandson out. The daughter which was out of town, came, and then the other daughter came and took the house, and then she sold it. So the house has gone through 3 different owners in the last 3 years. Mm-hmm. This house over here, the Hickeys lived in, and they kept their yard impeccable. He did. And my side of the fence as well as his. I mean, that's just the kind of person.
Kind of neighbors.
Oh, yeah, but then his wife got sick. They finally took her to a nursing home, and he got to the place where he just was not. I think she was in there 3 or 4 months, and he got to the point that he wanted to let him go every. And they finally moved him in with her. That they died a couple hours apart.
Oh boy.
Mm-hmm. But it was in their 80s.
And so after you moved from here to here, they moved in there.
Well, they bought that house.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. They did. But see, I've been in this house for 45 years. Mm-hmm. So you can imagine me trying to get out of this house. You say you can move anybody? Okay, you have a job. Mm-hmm. I'm helping coming up. Well, that's another subject. When they say what happens when you bring up subjects from you, that's another storyline.
Mm-hmm. And have you always belonged to Vancouver Avenue?
Mm-hmm. Joined it when they were in Bagley Down.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't belonged to any other church. I've gone to other churches. But I haven't seen myself a long time. A lot of churches I like, and after I go to the second service, I always feel in this place. And that's because I'm not.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a changing person, as my daughter says. That's why I'm still here. I see, she's trying to get me to move back to my husband passed.
Where does she think you should be?
Well, I should have been closer into Vancouver because everything I do is on that side. And she said, Mom, you drive too much. And now when I say to her, I said, you know something? It takes longer to get over here. She said, Mother. She keeps telling me. Yes, I said, all these people. But you see, we are in the day with people everywhere. It's not just. I mean, you got people coming out of the woodwork.
I live like 3 minutes from. I'm on 35th Place, just off of Lincoln, and traffic is just incredible everywhere. It doesn't matter where you are, southeast, northeast.
And I tell her this, and she looks at me and she said, "Well, I told you." And of course, the upkeep of the place now is just. Oh, that's all I'm doing. And you can't get people to come and do. I mean, you won't believe. Well, yeah, you would. If someone comes to tell you that they're going to cut your yard and trim it, but they're going to charge you for that. I mean, it's unreal. And they used to have a service put out, senior service that would come and do it. But it's a little scary to have seniors come out. Well, you can't find anyone now to come out and do it. And when I started to say it's a little scary, like there's some house things that need to be done, because my son can do it when he stopped tinkering with his car. And if I wait for him to come and do it, yes. But I mean, he wouldn't come and do it.
Sometimes things have to be fixed sooner than they can get here.
Yeah, and he'll say, why do you think it had to be done right now? I said, because I want it done now. I mean, it needs to be taken care of. And the longer you leave things, the worse they get. So, that's what we're going into this. But there are there's some senior services that don't come this side. You got more senior services that are available to the northeast side than you have out here.
Well, yeah, you're right.
No, you don't have. See, the neighbor's youngster came over and did my yard yesterday because one of the members. I go to this church up here sometimes when I used to work, and if I had to be at work at an hour that I knew my church was not going to be out, well, then I go to what I call my home away from home in Carrollton Baptist, which is up the street, which is a nice little church to go. Well, they had a member there. Have a member there that has a lawn service, and he came and looked at my yard. And see, a lot of the things I could do, except then I will pay for it because the Uncle Arthur visits me too often. Yeah. And it gets, my energy.
It's just not worth it. It isn't worth it to tap all your energy like that.
And I mean, and then even better, and this one guy, I just looked at this day, it was 5 something that came rolling up here in this beautiful Rolls Royce. Oh, gorgeous car. Not that I'm in the cars. I mean,
Rolls Royce is hard to miss.
Yeah, I mean, if it runs and I don't have any trouble with it, it's fine. But when he gave it to me and he said, what do you think about it? And I said, it's mind-boggling. And he said, what do you mean? And he said, I can make it look like it never looked before. And I said, yes, thank you very much.
But I can't afford to have it look like it never looked before.
I said, I have done my yards myself, and I know that it's gone. Oh, and it is. It's a mess. I was with Mark yesterday. I said, Mark, why didn't you trim around the flower beds? And why didn't you trim? Now, this is a youngster who is 30 years old. And he's just doing it to me. I said, why didn't you trim around the telephone pole? And he said, I'll get it.
Tell us about your catering business.
How did that start? Because I started with Mrs. Alexander. You probably have heard of Mary Alexander.
What's her first name?
Mary Alexander. She was the first black caterer that they had here. And she came out of Canada. I started with her as
I've got 3 or 4 people with the last name of Alexander, and I don't have them all kind of sorted out yet.
Her name was Mary, and she belonged to Bethel. Mm-hmm. Okay, no, it's not on me. Oh, and I went to work for her because I met her through the Zells. And I was the hat check woman, or the person that was on the door, the coats, the wraps. And that's how I enjoyed it because I enjoy people and I love being with people and I like what I saw them do. And she had a lady working with her at Mercedes Hardy. You probably heard of her. Who was a caterer herself. She used to make all these fancy pastries. That you see the French pastry. I was her father was a pastry chef. We used to live up on 12. I have some Hardy. No, it was Mercedes Hardy. Harriet and Mercedes Hardy. But Mary, she had worked for, she got exposed to so many different fabulous homes and so forth. Mercedes was the person that took care of the dining room and arranged all the beautiful. Well, she arranged it. She did the presentation too. And I fell in love. So as time went on from one thing to the other, and then there was a person named Mary Young that came in to be with us and Louisiana. And I had worked with her at the time, and I got a chance to, she let me do a sweet table on. And I thought that was an honor. Oh, that's the best.
So were you all working together, or was everybody an independent caterer and you'd come together with different specialties? Or?
Well, yes, because Mary was the head, and whenever she hired you, she paid you. That's the way it was. And she found out what she wanted to do because when she first hired me, she only wanted someone to do to the point they had to be, how should I say, you had to be lovable, you had to be, your mannerism had to be A+. You have to be just the right kind of person with personality in order to handle it. That's the way she looked at it. And I used to ask her, let me do something in the pastry line to help the other person. No, I don't want. I wasn't allowed back in the kitchen. No, not at all. Not at all. So this was just. But I became very intrigued with it. First, I had a chance when I was with the Zells. Before I had a child, a modeling thing. You remember the little shop that used to be right underneath any other time of service with the the Multnomah Hotel. Remember, what was the name of the shop that was right underneath them?
There was a group of them there, wasn't there?
Well, this was a little boutique that. Anyway, I don't remember. I guess I only remember her because that's the only place I'd ever go in. Quite something. And she wanted me to model clothes for her. I was too bashful.
What year was this? The 50s?
This was before I had. No. This was before my husband came back, so I didn't have a child.
So it's real early. Still.
So I'm thinking it must be in the late. That was just a part of the thing that just sort of flew by me. As I was talking about how Mary always wanted her girls to look. Even when you came on the job, you had not one strand of hair could be out of place. Oh, she was really the top caterer. She was known, if you know about some of the caterers that were in the city. Now she was more or less not music. Who do I know? Well, you've heard of yours truly. Well, see, I worked with them for a while, but that's way years later. But that kind of a classic type thing. And believe it or not, you know what? We would go to work early in the morning. We'd set tables up. And Mary would do all the cooking. She would make the And she had to make rolls. I mean, she did everything that they were going to do for that. Even if we were doing a luncheon.
And these were at private homes?
Mm-hmm. The cooking was very nice. I got a chance to see all the beautiful homes. And got a chance to see all of them.
That's where the other half lives.
Yeah.
And so the catering, Mrs. Alexander's catering business, you know, she's the primary cook, and, and Mercedes Hardy, is specialty is pastries.
Right.
And Mary Young.
Her specialty, she was known as, she was a beautiful. She came over in a like Cajun. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. She had a daughter who passed away. Doris Davis. Did you ever hear her name? She was in
Black Taylor Thomas for the
Oh, yeah. That's the only people who heard.
Now, you're truly, is that a Black Taylor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That was run by Teddy Watson. You knew her. Teddy Watson was the head. She came out of Louisiana. She was the head of yours truly. There was a big article on her. In fact, I had it, but I don't know if I still have it.
You know, there's every so often in the food day there would be these features on.
Well, they tried to run a special. They tried to run a special on me, and I rejected. Said no. Oh no, because you know, at one point in time, I think I have an article on it. I do a chocolate mousse cake, and at the time that was one of the things that I used to feature.
So how many years did you do? Did this group of women take
a lot
by storm?
A lot more than you really want to think. What? I wouldn't say that. Maybe?
From roughly when to when?
Because I worked from the time, even though I had children, I did it from the time. My daughter was just I guess we're also in this.
So it's like 1950 when this was. You come on the scene.
But I've been off the scene for a while.
Yeah, and now is Mrs. Alexander still alive?
Oh no, she passed away.
And what about Mercedes?
She's still living, but she is not here. She lost her husband, but she's not here. I understand she's in Seattle. I have not seen her. And see, Mary Young passed away. See, and Jessie Hill. See, I worked with all of them. Jessie Hill. That's Pearl's mother. And she was the person that we were partners, Jessie and myself. And see, when she went off the scene, I had just never found anyone that was really like, let's see. I did the planning. She did the cooking. When I got to work, I did. Still took charge of the presentation, the dining room, and she took all the kitchen. And there was nothing else that you had to worry about.
So in the middle of working, raising children,
what about that?
Were you active? Have you been involved in any of the women's clubs?
See, I'm involved in.
I don't know how women found time to do.
See, I belong to the Femmes, and I've belonged to the Femmes since, let's see, Rosalind came out I belonged to them. Oh dear, I tell you how long I've been there, because she came out in 1964, so I was in there a good 5 years before she came out. And I keep saying, I'm not going to stay in.
But you still are?
Yes, I'm still. And I enjoy it.
Well, that
annual
that annual event, yeah.
Well, that's nice too, but we had youngsters that I'm still very much concerned. Our youngsters have all they need. Our youngsters need it. We need it. We just talked to someone yesterday at the, what was that, Women's Union.
Oh, how was that?
That was nice. I didn't get a chance to go over early. I was babysitting my great granddaughter.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get a chance to, but I visited only when we were at lunch. And that was it. But I also worked with the OACW. And I used to belong, when my husband was alive, I used to belong to the Texas Social Club. I dropped that after he passed because that didn't give me the kind of...
Who was if we had to think of sort of a couple of, one or two people to talk to about the founding of the Texas Club and all of that.
Let's see, Macmillan is gone. Mitchell. I just talked to his dad yesterday. I'm wondering if Robinson's yeah.
I know. I mean, just try to think of, somebody that's really goes way back.
Okay. I don't know that Mr. Leverett was ever. I don't believe they ever belonged to that because they were people.
Ulysses Leverett?
Yeah. I just don't think that I don't remember seeing that. And the other people that belong to that club.
And it's still active.
See, there were two separate ones because they separately split. Wasn't Mrs. Smith in it?
I don't know.
I'm trying to think who she was. My husband was from Texas.
Mm-hmm.
Right this minute I can't think of it. I probably will think of somebody. I think. Yeah, going back to what I've been doing with myself.
Done plenty. I don't know how
I don't know.
women did and do everything. I don't have any children, and I don't know how anybody keeps up with kids and goes to work and has a social life and has a civic life.
Well, I guess I wasn't as active when the kids were smaller. See, I used to belong to PTA, but see, I wasn't one of the kind of people that was the president of PTA. No, I volunteered for, in school duty. I mean, there was things that I would do at the time that they were in school. But I mean, being the president of an organization, of that organization, no.
Yeah.
I had never done that. Of course, I've been president of the Films for a couple of times, and I said, no way, wouldn't do it again. Oh, you couldn't pay me.
That ball is coming. That's in June, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So nice to see young people so nicely dressed like that.
It is, and it's nice to see young people who have already set goals, and really are trying to achieve them. But there's still so much you don't get. Of course, I think the things that Kevin Ford is doing with the young people.
Yeah.
He was working with us when he was with the Cavaliers.
Those young men in those tuxedos with those top hats just
but
strike
he
such
just,
a picture.
I tell you, integrity is, Kevin, personally, I think from the day he set his foot on there.
Just one of those people.
He was best.
Well, what haven't we talked about, Kim, that we want
to... I hope you can find something in some of this that you might be...
I've got so much food for thought here and angles. You try to stay kind of
focused.
Sort of focused.
I don't have to look at the name.
My main name was Hagan. H-E-H-E-A-N-S. H-E-A-G-A-N-S. I have a brother who is I have a sister and my sister passed away.
Did you remove?
Yes.
But that's more than
now.
get up there, he was an alcohol
Robert
Yes.
Professor. Yes.
And the second husband, where was he from?
He was a person who was, when I think about him in Texas, I think about Mary Martin. Who was a friend of hers. She taught him how to dance. And he taught her how to snap the cloth and boot fly.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when they open up the clackamas, we went out and had brunch with them.
Mm-hmm.
I know. It was nice to see you.
What did Mr. Boyd do?
He worked for the SPS Railroad
On the road or in town?
on the road.
Mm-hmm. That's another thing I don't see how women dealt with.
Because
Men
of
being
being
gone
gone
all
for
the
2 days.
time like that.
He was gone for 2 days. Well, see, he came home every day. No, he came home every day. But then he was out for like 2 days, and then he was home for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
He'd go to Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Spokane. Excuse me, Spokane. Because I'm just right. And so I read it. No. Because I know I look at things sometimes where people are like, wait a minute, I don't think that's what happened.
When did you marry him?
What? Oh.
That's another thing young people don't understand, how anybody can stay together and work it all out.
I know we give up so easily.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's because you have so many things that it sort of inundate the mind. I need to know. I mean, why? Look, this stopped me because I got. And that's just the way. See, we're living so fast. It's almost like when you buy a car. And you have it for a little while. And if the car's performance is not up, or if you see something else that you think is going to make the statement that you want, or something, change it. You don't hold on to it. Forget it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
Instant solutions.
mm-hmm.
What do you think about the future of Portland?
What do I think about the future? I'd like to see it more. Well, it's going to become better. But I hope that through some of this, that we can have more minority interventions in our lives that come on.
Amen.
I hope that this is going to be where we're going to have people that's going to have to really find out where they want to go. And you can see I've watched my daughter too. She just attended. She's been here. And follow through, but you're going to have to have somebody for them to be really committed. It's going to have the one thing, that just really just hurts my heart is the fact that we still are nurturing a brainwashing. We are not trusting each other.
Yeah.
We're totally. It's not the fact that you can't bring something to the table and add something to it. You know, this is the way things are done by you adding something to the table and not feeling that you're taking away from another person. That may not be exactly the way you put it out there, but this is what I see a lot. And I just don't see us being able to recognize the fact that what you have to offer is just as valuable to me as it is to you. Because we can't survive. We can't survive alone. And unless we learn, unless we do this, and it just really bothers me.
What do you mean?
Go ahead.
really trust each other, trust each other with black and white.
Both. I mean, but us as a race have a tendency not to want to support each other.
Yeah.
We feel if you have somebody that puts you, if you have the upper hand on me, or if you have, say for instance, if you have just a real good idea, and it may be a good idea to me, I mean, but then, no, I don't want to go that way, because then you'll get farther than I will. But then why can't we pool them and use them, because that's what corporations will do. I mean, well, not only corporations, that's what families have to stay together. I mean, not everybody has the same mentality, not even, I didn't even say that, but not everybody can see things from the same, we don't see things on the same level, even though we're looking at the same thing.
How do you feel about the neighborhood around Vancouver Avenue Church? I just see so much potential redevelopment threat that it just scares the daylights out of me.
Well, it's there, but I mean, who's going to take? You see, they're letting somebody else come in and take it over instead of them doing for themselves, and then they still squeal about. Stop it. They still squeal about. I mean, when they took it, no, they didn't take it. You let them. If I stand back here, if I see something I want, if I stand back here and just want it,
that doesn't get it.
No, you go in and get it. I mean, what's the use of me being envious of you doing it, or what's the use of me just going and try to badmouth you for doing it when you have it? That's where we are. But I still, one of the other things is, I feel that I still think this comes back from this has been ingrained in us, and I think somehow or other we try to say no, it's not. But I mean, a lot of it's fair from where originally we were taught to. They kept us fighting amongst ourselves and separated amongst us. I mean, separation. But then we come too far. We're supposed to be more intelligent now. We're not supposed to be that dumb.
Well, everybody's supposed to be more aware, certainly, and more informed.
And you can see it with your eyes. And I mean, why would you just sit and still let somebody else do it?
I don't know.
I feel like it's just a sense of hopelessness, a sense of that you can't, have the intellect, or, the family more complicated than what it really is. And
well, you see, that's another thing.
Fail.
Right word. Because that's the reason why I didn't go into a whole big catering, because I always wanted to stay small, but I wanted to be the most unique thing out there. It had to be a classic thing. But I was afraid of failure. And see, how are you going to ever know? I know things my daughter said. How are you going to know? What are you going to do in life? Don't try. And I mean, there are a lot of failures in trying to be successful or trying to get what you want.
Well, there are structural patterns, though, in society that it takes decades to change. And, it's like, whole issues about, like, how far women have come, and it's kind of like if you don't start and kind of ram against those boundaries, nothing ever changes. And, I feel that your generation accomplished so much on so many fronts in our generations, and I'm older than Kim. It's kind of like we know what we're upset about, or what we rail about, or what we're trying to work to change. But when you think about our entire generation working towards goals, it's trying to pry people out of their homes, away from their TV sets, away from their recreational activities, away from their jobs, because everybody's working so much, onto, some things that just, all they really take is commitment of people's time to really work on. You have to make the time to do those things. And I think we're going to fail, in terms of, pushing things further than, your generation before.
It's like looking at the weak situation. I mean, all you have to do is just think about it. there were people there. What do they call them? Those the people that started doing it, like Robin March, not Robin March. I mean, Robin March. Nobody's talked to you about Robin March? You haven't heard the name at all? Our first black queen? Really? Robin March? She was on, I'm trying to think what she's doing now.
What year, roughly? Because we stop in the early 70s. Because when you start getting into the younger generation, and then it becomes, well, what's history and what's just sort of current life?
Right, I understand. I'm just trying to think. I'm not sure Robin March, because Robin March was the year that I was president. If I go back over that, each president do 2 terms. I can't tell you exactly what year it was, but I mean,
Was it before Johnson came out or after?
Oh, no, this has been recent. This has been, what, 10? Has it had to be? I'll find out. And I was going to say,
well, you know what's going to happen is Rose Festival's coming up, and they're going to list all the queens.
Okay.
And then we'll see it then.
Okay, then you look at it. Oh, you mean past and present?
Now let's do a history retrospective.
Well, I mean, I'm hoping I'm right on this. I know the. What was she first? Okay, when you see it, as you say,
well,
it's coming.
It's
coming up shortly.
You know, Kawana's old girlfriend, Ayanna Caldecott, is the princess from Jefferson, and she's quite the young girl. I think she's got a good shot.
Well, you know, I'm hoping that it will come about this year.
Well, that would be her then.
I'm hoping that it will.
She's just a doll.
For the one simple reason, I just think it's
time.
It's time. I mean, it's really time. Because see, I mean, I remember when the Perry girl was on. I mean, I got the nasty message from the underground. That the reason why, because one of that she wasn't in it, is because one of the Rosarians was too carried away with her. Oh, that'd be. Somebody's gonna get carried away with you. Oh, cats! I mean, I tell you.
Well, the Rosarians are another story altogether.
Oh, don't talk about that. Well, you know who was the first black Rosarian they had in there? Was Hatley?
I don't know. I participate in the parade sometimes, and you see.
No. The reason why I said that was because Hadley was our first. Well, he used to live in Milwaukee. He started out with a catering. No. He's a baker. And he was over at Safeway as a baker. Then I think he went to Freddie. Yeah, he's still in the Rose thing. And I think the other person you said is, Minnie Bell Johnson's Paul Cook. Paul Cook. I guess I should try to see something I couldn't go to find out why it's not
and somebody's thinking, where is she? It's 1:26. Yeah.
You have.
Yeah, so we're an hour. We were 45 minutes late to begin with.
Well, I'm sorry. And then of course,
it's been great.
Well, no, then I was one of those kind of people saying, who is this? Do you run across people like that often?
Yes. What the heck, though? In spite of forgetting, and in spite of the fact that, we're unclear about, late for starters, and then we can't find you. We got your wrong address. Now, you've been magnificent.
Well, I mean, you see my rogues gallery that